So let us start. The product of the day is fire loss of profit insurance. Fire loss of profit insurance. I think all of you can see the presentation. Say, this is one policy which has two conditions. For selling, you have to keep in mind these two conditions. The first one is there has to be a fire policy in place. If it is not, then you have to simultaneously give. Without fire policy, FLOP policy cannot be given. This is the fundamental rule of the fire loss of profit policy. The fire policy is required because that is the policy that is known as the material damage policy for this purpose, and that will cover the entire material damage loss. So without fire policy, FLOP policy cannot be given. Second condition is, if the claim is paid under fire policy, then only the claim will trigger under FLOP policy. If the fire policy is rejecting the claim on the ground of coverage, FLOP policy will also reject the claim. It means the admissibility of the claim of FLOP depends upon the admissibility of the claim under the fire insurance. So keep in mind both these conditions are necessary. First one is there has to be a fire policy in place. Second is if the claim is admissible under the fire policy, then only the FLOP policy will pay the claim. Both conditions are must. Now this policy is known by three different names. Three different names means your customers may ask, or even the brokers may ask, for a business interruption insurance or a consequential loss insurance. Don't get confused. They are the synonyms for this policy. Because loss of profit, consequential loss and business interruption insurance, all these are applicable to same fire loss of profit policy. So this becomes FLOP when it is given with the fire policy. And when it is given with the machinery breakdown insurance, the policy becomes MLOP, means machinery loss of profit insurance. And these are the only two classes where loss of profit policy can be given. Try to understand it again. If it is given with the fire insurance, policy will be called as FLOP, fire loss of profit. And if it is given with the machinery breakdown insurance, policy will be known as the machinery loss of profit insurance. And these are the only two classes where the FLOP, loss of profit policy can be given. Now you can sell this policy in four ways. Four ways means, if you are giving to any of your customer an IR policy, which is known as the industrial or risk insurance. So that is a compact insurance policy which have number of sections like fire, burglary, FLOP, MLOP, electronic engineering insurance, etc. So there, this FLOP section is an inbuilt section. But the policy can be given only for the customers whose sum insured is minimum 50 crore. Means this is applicable for the sum insured of 50 crore and above only, not less than that. Second way to sell this policy is fire plus FLOP. Means wherever you are giving the fire policies, say for example for factories, small and medium enterprises, commercial institutions, fire policy may be the Bharat Sukshma Udyam, Bharat Laghu Udyam, or even standard fire and special carry policy. You can give along with that FLOP policy also with a separate proposal form. So in that case, two different proposal forms are required and policy can be saved. The third method is BPP plus FLOP. This business protector policy does not have the FLOP section as inbuilt section. Business protector policy has 12 sections, but none of them is FLOP. Business protector policy covers the fire insurance as a mandatory section, that is the first section. Since the fire is there, you can give the FLOP also, but separately. Because normally we are giving the business protector policy to educational institutions, medical institutions, hotels and offices. So there again, if the requirement is there, FLOP policy can be given with a separate proposal form. And the fourth and last one is Share Shopkeeper Insurance or any other package insurance policy. Any other means whatever number of package policies we are having, say for educational institutions, hotel and restaurant, for offices, for shops. So we have got different package policies. Except business protector policy, in all our package policies you will find the fire loss of profit section as inbuilt section. Let me repeat the sentence. Except our business protector policy, that is a package policy, in all other package policies you will find FLOP as inbuilt section. So there the section can be selected along with the fire insurance because fire is mandatory in all the package policies. Fire plus FLOP or fire plus burglary or fraud, fire plus or any section or all the sections. That flexibility lies with the customer because in package policies the section can be selected by the customer as per his requirement except the mandatory sections or minimum number of sections. So fire is mandatory and minimum number is only 2 or 3. So remaining sections are as per the choice of the customer. So these are the 4 ways to sell the FLOP policy. In IR it is inbuilt. With fire you can give us with a separate proposal form. With BPP you can give it with a separate proposal form. But in all other package policies it is an inbuilt section and the customer can select it. Now if you are giving FLOP policy or FLOP section to any of the shopkeepers, in that case 4 conditions will apply. Because the shopkeeper is the smallest entity among the commercial institutions. If you compare it with the corporate, with the factory, with an industry, with an hotel and restaurant industry or educational institutions, shopkeeper you will find is the smallest entity. But they can also select the FLOP as their section. They can also take the FLOP. If you are giving FLOP to any of the shopkeepers, these 4 things will be applicable. The first one, sum insured will not exceed 25% of the sum insured. Say for example, sum insured of fire policy is 4 crore. Up to 1 crore you can give the FLOP. That is 25%. Indemnity period you cannot give more than 3 months. Premium rate is fixed 360 rupees per lakh plus GST, and minimum premium is 500 plus GST. Mind one thing, these four conditions are applicable only to shopkeepers. For any other commercial institution, none of them is applicable. Sum insured could be anything, indemnity period could be anything from 3 months to 3 years. Premium rate as per the fire policy, minimum premium would be as per the fire policy. So these conditions are applicable for shopkeepers only. Now what is FAPLOP policy? So when I am saying this policy cannot be given alone in isolation, this can be given only with the fire policy. That means the fire policy will cover all the otherwise losses to the property, to the furniture fixture, to the machinery, to the stocks. But to the loss of income, only the FLOP policy will cover. That is not part of the fire policy. Fire policy will pay nothing for it. Because normally you have seen in fire policy, there are black by sum insured. Sum insured for building, for plant and machinery, for stocks, for furniture fixtures. Because these are the risks covered under the fire policy. FLOP policy covers only the income or the profit of that unit. Now who can take this policy? These three situations are there. Proposer must have a fire policy. FLOP standalone cannot be given. Proposer's business must continue. If it is closed 6 months before or 1 year before or 2 years before, policy FLOP cannot be given. And proposer must be earning income or profit. If it is already running into the losses, there is no purpose of giving FLOP. Because this is covering loss of profit, not loss of losses. So all these three conditions are must. Fire policy has to be there, business must continue, and he must be earning income out of it. But still, when you are giving these policies together, it doesn't mean they are covering the same risk. The coverage of both the policies is still different. Because fire policy will cover the material damage loss. Material damage loss means physically visible losses to the property, to the machinery, to the furniture fixtures, to the stocks. But a FLOP policy will cover only the loss of income or loss of profit. And this loss of income could be following operation of the insured peril, any peril which is insured under the policy, and even by the increased cost of working. If the cost of working has increased, that caused the financial losses, that is also covered. That means there is a sequence that you can say flow of events that will result into the loss of profits. And this flow of events must be in the same manner. First, there has to be a material damage policy, that is fire insurance policy. Under that policy, there must be an indemnifiable loss, that means loss caused by an insured peril. Then only the company will pay the claim. That indemnifiable loss must be resulting into the interruption in production process. And due to that interruption, there is a reduction in sales turnover or reduction in services. And due to that reduction, there is a loss of gross profit. So the sequence will run in the same manner. To cover the first risk, that is material damage policy, fire policy is required. To cover the last risk, that is the loss of gross profit, FLOP policy is required. But you cannot ignore the intervening steps or intervening flow of events. So for all purposes, this flow of events will continue if there is any claim admissible under the FLOP policy. Now, how to determine the sum insured of the policy? While giving the FLOP policy, you can cover under the policy the anticipated gross profit. Anticipated gross profit means whatever gross profit was earned in the last year, it is not mandatory to take the same gross profit this year also. No. It may be increasing this year, it may be decreasing this year. It depends upon the proposer or the customer whether he wants to continue the same gross profit or is expecting some increase in his gross profit this year, or he is expecting some decrease in the gross profit this year. So this is an absolute choice of the proposer to select the anticipated gross profit as sum insured of the policy. Now there are three different periods applicable to this policy. Three different periods. First is as usual policy period, which is applicable to all of the policies, and that is normally 12 months. That is say from 1st January 2024 to 31st December 2024. This is called annual policy period. Second one is important, that is indemnity period. Indemnity period represents the insured's estimation of the maximum period required for normal business operations to be restored following a loss. It should be mentioned in months like 3 months, 6 months, 9 months, 12 months, 1 year, 18 months, 24 months, 30 months. Because the insured better knows how much time he needs to restore his business. If it is damaged by any of the insured perils, say from earthquake, flood, cyclone, so how much time he needs to restore his business, that period he will select, and that will be called as indemnity period. And the third one is interruption period. This interruption period means for how many actual days the business was interrupted. That is the actual period of interruption, starting from the date of loss till the date of normal operations. It can be more than the indemnity period, it can be less than the indemnity period. But insurance liability is restricted to lower of the two. Lower of the two means if the indemnity period is selected 6 months, but the business was interrupted actually for 4 months only, insurance company will pay the loss of profit of 4 months. Lower of the two. You can see this example. First one is the policy period, that is January 1 to December 31st. Policy inception date or policy expiry date. Now, so on March 1st, due to flood, there are losses. Insured selected 9 months indemnity period only. But the business was interrupted from March 1 to February 15. So that interruption period is bigger. Lower indemnity period is lower. Insurance company will pay the claim for lower of the two. One more example. Interruption period is the period which starts from the date of loss and ends when the business achieves the same production levels where it was prior to a loss. Not only that the business has started, That level should come. So that may take time. Because this is something which relates to the accounting. If I am saying I am running a shop, I say I am earning 50,000 rupees per month from the shop. My shop was closed due to flood for 2 months. I have suffered the loss of 1 lakh rupees. Insurance company has to pay me 1 lakh rupees under the FLOP policy. That is fine. But insurance company will ask for the record. Is it true? Are you earning 50,000 rupees per month? Can you show us the documents? We believe that you have suffered the losses for 2 months. We will pay you 1 lakh rupees. But are you earning the real 50,000 rupees or less than 50,000 or more than 50,000? That has to be checked from the documents. So accounting has to be there. Documents has to be there. At the time of claim, the documents are required to see what is the net profit, what is the net loss. Because the gross profit minus fixed cost and standing charges will result into net profit. And if your fixed cost and standing charges are more than the gross profit, then there is a net loss. So in case of net loss only, the insurance company will come into the picture. If there is already profit, insurance company will pay nothing. So to calculate all these things, expenses have to be explained. Because there are two kinds of expenses. One is standing expenses. These expenses continue to occur irrespective of the production level. Means even if the flood has damaged, production unit has closed, still these expenses will continue to pay. Insurance premium, rent of building, salary, dividend, interest on loan, administrative costs, vehicle rent. There is no production. Unit is closed, but still these expenses are continuing as it is because these are standing expenses. Other expenses are known as the variable expenses. These vary with the production level. If there is no production, they will discontinue. Say for example, cost of raw material, freight inward, electricity, labor cost. If the insured peril has caused the loss and there is an indemnifiable loss, because of that some interruption is there, these expenses will discontinue. So this gross profit can be worked out as compared to the turnover. It can be in percentage terms also. What is the percentage of the gross profit over the turnover? Because this includes standing charges, net profit, and increase in cost of working. You can see it by this example, how the gross profit is worked out. It is the amount by which the sales turnover exceeds the manufacturing cost. Means sales turnover is more than manufacturing cost. So the remainder is gross profit. Now, if the insured has selected indemnity period more than 12 months, in that case the premium payable would be higher. Because up to 12 months, if the indemnity period is selected by the customer, the same premium would be applicable. But suppose he is selecting 18 months, that the premium will become 1.5 times. Indemnity period selected is 2 years, the premium will be doubled. Indemnity period is 30 months, premium will be 2.5 times. So now, what are the perils covered under the FLOP policy? This is important. So the first criteria is, if the fire policy is paying the claim, then only the FLOP policy will pay the claim. That means whatever perils are covered under the fire policy, they are same covered in the FLOP policy also. whatever add-ons are covered under the fire policy, FLOP will also honor those add-ons also. Whatever exclusions are applicable to the fire policy, similarly they will apply to the FLOP policy also. Because the FLOP policy will trigger a claim is payable under the fire policy. So this is simple. Now fire policy have 14 perils. If Sukshma Udyam or Laghu Udyam are there. If the external fire and special peril policy is there, then -2. 12 perils are there on. Because this earthquake, terrorism and theft will be excluded, and the impact damage will be a separate peril. So these all perils are covered in the FLOP policy also. Similarly, 15 add-ons are there as per tariff, which are applicable to the external fire and special peril policy. Now, whatever add-on cover has been selected by the customer, that will also become the part of the FLOP policy. If the loss is caused by any of these add-on covers and it is payable under the fire policy, FLOP will also pay the claim. Now, if you are selling this policy to any of your customers, you need certain basic details on the proposal form to get the quotations. And this detail is different to other policies. Because on the proposal form, the questions designed are different, looking to the coverage of the policy. You have to obtain the detail from the customer of the fire policy, what basis of accounting you are adopting, what is the list of your standing charges, what indemnity period you have selected, what was your gross profit in the previous year, what is your turnover which is expected, whether unit is continuous or non-continuous, and what add-on covers you have selected. Because the nature of risk is different. Some shopkeeper is taking, some hospital is taking, some educational institution is taking. So all these things differs customer to customer. When you will get this detail, this is the basic detail, then only the underwriter would be able to generate the quotes. Now, FLOP policy does not cover certain risk. And the first one is compulsory access. This compulsory access is different here again. Because normally you will find in other policies, an amount of compulsory access is there which is directed from each claim. But here, amount is not there. Here it is given in days. So this is called time access. Loss under FLOP policy is not payable for first 7 days. Intention of access is to avoid small losses and to take some share of loss in major claims beyond 7 days. Any restrictions on reconstruction or operation imposed by any public authority is also not covered. Lack of sufficient capital fund is also not covered because the customer has to restart the business. Then only the comparison of indemnity period and interruption period would be there. Suspension or lapse of cancellation of license is not covered. Damage to boilers, etc. is not covered. Electrical installations are not covered, like computer and data processing equipment. Mechanical or electrical breakdown or derangement of machinery or equipment is not covered. So these are specific exclusions which are not covered under the FLOP policy. But at the same time, FLOP policy also provides 4 additional add-on covers which customer can select. They are in addition to the fire add-on covers. They are applicable to FLOP policy only. Because in certain circumstances, there could be losses due to the failure of gas, failure of electricity, failure of water supply. So that add-on cover can be taken. Damage to customer's premises due to peril covered is another add-on cover. Damage to supplier's premises due to peril covered is another add-on cover. And last one is auditor fee. See this, damage to supplier's premises, this is interesting. I'm a shopkeeper, say I'm a factory owner. I'm taking the policy for my factory. I'm taking the FLP policy for my profit to protect it. But I have a tie-up with the supplier. Say suppose I'm manufacturing the motorbikes. Now complete manufacturing of the bike is there except that a headlight assembly. So headlight assembly is supplied by the another supplier. One is headlight assembly comes, then only my bike becomes complete. If there is any loss in his go down or to his stocks, my entire production will be stopped. I will not be in a position to complete even a single unit. So I will prefer to cover that risk also. If I am taking that add-on cover, anything happens in the supplier's premises will also be covered. An auditor's fee is important add-on because this policy needs accounting, books of accounts. Then only the claim will be settled. So the loss is not directly paid. Before paying the loss, your insurance company will see whether the loss of stock or property is there and that is payable. Then only the loss caused to the income or profit will be payable under the FLP policy. The FLP policy can be given only turnover basis, output basis, differences basis, revenue basis. These are the bases adopted according to the nature of business. Because some firm is manufacturer, some is supplier, some is service provider. So how their revenue comes, that's important. Now, this policy does not cover the underinsurance or bad debts or goodwills or failure to recover books, etc. I give you an example of how to calculate the premium of the policy. Because the policy duration is 1 year, short-term policy can be given. Coverage is only loss of income, minus 7 days compulsory access. Policy cannot be given to those risks which are declined under the fire insurance. For example, mobile shop, cracker shop, plastic manufacturing units, shop dealing in hazardous goods. So when the fire policy cannot be given, FLOP policy cannot be given. FLOP in isolation you cannot give unless the fire policy is there. So how to calculate the premium? Say suppose some engineering workshop is taking the policy, FLOP policy, and their sum assured is only 20 lakh rupees. So they have taken the earthquake and terrorism also. That means Sukshmuddham structure policy is there. Indemnity period is selected for 3 months. So insurance company gets quoted the rate of 1.08 per milli, including earthquake, terrorism and all that. So how the premium will be calculated? 1.08 upon 1,000 into 20 lakhs. The premium would be only rupees 2,160 plus GST. That's all. Simple calculation. Similarly, how the claim will be settled? Say suppose a firm has taken the policy of 30 lakh rupees. Indemnity period is only 3 months. Policy is Sukshmuddham, including STFI, earthquake, etc. Cause of loss is flood. Now the loss is caused by the flood. So losses caused to the building, machinery, plant and machinery or furniture fixtures is payable under the fire policy. Fire policy has paid the claim. Because of that loss, the unit was closed for 8 weeks. 8 weeks. Indemnity period is 3 months. Now just compare 8 weeks, that is the actual interruption period, is bigger, or the indemnity period of 3 months is bigger? Obviously 3 months, because in 3 months 12 weeks are there. Actual interruption period is only 8 weeks. That's almost 2 months. So how the claim will be settled? The policy says that the compulsory excess of 1 week, that is 7 days. So 1 week is minus. Now claim payable is only for 7 weeks. Sum insured is 30 lakh rupees. So 30 lakh rupees for 1 year is there. In 1 year, say suppose 52 weeks are there. So divided by 52. That means per week 57,962.3 is payable. So 57,962.3 into 7 weeks. The total loss payable is 4,03,846. Simple calculation. Policy is so simple, it can be given right from shopkeeper to any commercial institution. Nothing wrong. Only thing is the claim will be settled by comparing the indemnity period and interruption period, whichever is lower. If the interruption period is lower, the claim will be for interruption period. Or if the indemnity period is lower, claim will be for indemnity period. So now customer is having fire policy with other insurer. Can we sell a FLOP policy? As such, there is no restriction. But whatever company is giving the FLOP policy, that will first ask for fire policy. If the fire policy is submitted, maybe of XYZ insurance company, then the FLOP can be given. Normally, insurance companies are issuing both the policies simultaneously. So when you are given a question, what details are required to submit you the quote? So basic details you will take from the customer has to be there. Only on that basis the department will provide you the quote. And that detail should include all the answers of 6-7 questions. On that basis this will be given. So a FLOP policy is not a complication. The only thing is first 2 conditions must be complied with. It cannot be given in isolation. The fire policy has to be there. If it is given to any shopkeeper, 4 conditions will apply. You can sell this policy in 4 different manners. Because the FLOP policy will cover only the loss of profit and nothing else. So this is all about the FLOP policy. Now if you have questions, you can ask me. If you have any questions, you can ask me. Standalone, no company will provide you, sir. In between, what happens? When we are having the problems. In between, what happens? If last year what happened? The IRDA implemented a sandbox scheme. In that scheme, we developed a new product. That time we sold this FLOP policy in isolation. because that scheme was introduced by the IRDA for all the general insurance companies. Whatever product you want to file, you can file. So that time we filed our standalone FLOP product, but that was discontinued later on. It is discontinued. So now you can check the test paper is on your mail ID, please. Mr. Amol Mishra is there. Amol Mishra. Amol, yes. Amol, you are sending the test paper by mail. Please don't send it by mail, because when you are sending it by mail, the question paper comes to me back without answers. So I cannot mark your questions paper. You just click on the submit button. If you don't know, you can ask any of your friends how to click on that, and this will automatically come to me. But by mail you don't send it. Okay, screenshot that is. So additionally you are clicking. Okay, then it's fine. So everybody has got the test paper? Please confirm. Okay, please continue.